Jeremy Pittman built a thriving physical therapy practice by staying committed to learning how to run a business the hard way. In this episode, we break down what it really looks like to construct a purpose-driven organization from the ground up. Jeremy shares the hard-earned lessons of transitioning from being a provider to an entrepreneur, from building a culture from scratch, managing 26 teammates, and learning to lead through systems instead of stress. We talk about navigating a broken insurance system and why values have to evolve with your team rather than just live on a poster. This one's for all those educated founders doing work in the real world, stuff that maybe you weren't taught in the classroom. Welcome to Legacy Unscripted, sponsored by Progeny Coaching. This is the podcast where sports and business collide. I'm your host, Russ Katzman, and here we'll skip the fluff and get straight to the hustle. From athletes turned entrepreneurs to impact-driven business leaders, we dive into the wins, the lessons, and some of those failures that make our legacies worth living. Today, I'm happy to welcome Jeremy Pittman, owner at Pittman Physical Therapy. Jeremy, good to see you this morning.
Good morning, Russ. How are you?
Very good. I appreciate you jumping on with us.
Absolutely.
So, when you and I did our introductory call, one of the things we talked about was this idea of, and Michael Gerber kind of made this famous in the E-Myth, this idea of the technician and knowing quite a bit about your specific area of expertise and what it means to be able to fulfill for your customers. Talk to me about the world of physical therapy and how you were highly trained and what that meant when you tried to step over into creating a business around it.
Oh, wow, Russ, that's in physical therapy. I don't know if it's the same across all medical platforms, but in physical therapy, you do not get any training in business whatsoever. I think I did one class for about 4 weeks where we had to build a clinic from the ground up, and basically they told us the parameters of it, and we just built it, and we didn't have to market it, we didn't have to manage it, we had no key performance indicators. There was nothing. It was just like, and actually mine was called Fat Cat. So my whole portion of that was just going online back in 1994 and finding pictures of Garfield. That's the only thing I contributed to that. So, but yeah, you come out and you're really good or you're skilled at treating patients and doing evaluations and getting people back. But when you transition from that technician to the business owner, that was about a 7-year, just nonstop butting your head against the wall because you don't know what you don't know. And so there were so many ups and downs. And knowing now, I wish if I knew then what I knew now, I would have gotten coaching very early on when I first started the business, because that would have shrunk my timeline to success. It made it very rapid. Because we don't know business. Doctors don't know business. That's why we have our office managers, right? We just know how to treat people and get them back to doing what they love to do.
Gotcha. So where did the vision then come from? I mean, you were a technician, you were doing PT work. Where did the vision come that said, you know what, I want to go build my own thing?
Well, if any of your listeners have read the E-Myth, it's typically the entrepreneurial story, right? You're doing something, you're really good at doing that thing, and you see where it could be better, right? So you get angry or whatever that emotion might be, and you're like, okay, I quit. I'm going to go start my own thing. And that's when the real problems start, right? Because I didn't even know what a pro forma was to take to the bank to get a loan, right? I just knew that I could do this better. I can treat my people better. I can treat my employees better, but I didn't know how to do all those things. So the vision was, I'm tired of working for the corporate. I'm tired of having to answer to 5 different layers. I can do this better on my own.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I think one of the things I hear from entrepreneurs quite a bit is they're worried about that technician within their business that is getting really good, and that, in your case, patients are getting tied to that specific technician. What if this individual leaves and goes to start their own thing? And I remind them, I said, do you remember what it was like when you first started? Do you remember all those things you didn't know when you first started that you had to learn? Do you remember the risk, the sleepless nights? Not everybody's cut out for that. Right. And so it's interesting that the emotion drove you into that scenario.
Yeah, and I've heard quite often. I tell this to my leadership team a lot. Is like when they're like holding back information or they don't want to train somebody to do something. I'm like, I don't know where I read it or who said it, but would you rather not train them and they stay, or train them up to be super competent and they leave? Like, which one is
Yep.
worse, right?
Yep.
So we err on the side of train them up, treat them well, have a great culture, and hope they stay because we offer a great product.
So there you go. There's a great lead in into kind of the next scenario, which is, you know, pro forma is one thing, doing financial statements is one thing, hiring, firing, some of that kind of stuff. We can get through the logistics of it. That doesn't teach you how to build a culture, right? You can read a bunch of stuff online, but that doesn't really equate to how do I go in and make my workplace better and more attractive to people to want to be a part of it. Talk to me about building your first culture.
Ooh, um, yeah, failed at it. Failed at
Yeah,
it and learned because I didn't have a culture set. I didn't have my values written down. I didn't have them known by all, and so people were just kind of doing their own thing, and it hurt our business for quite a while. And in fact, we're still in the rebuilding process from firing two people because of cultural differences, right?
yep,
But if you look at the culture of your business and you look at the people that are aligned with your values and with your culture, if you don't remove those bad apples, then everybody's going to be unhappy, and then you're going to
right.
have people that you really want on board jumping ship because they don't want to be on the ride with XYZ person over here. So I sat down, again, read a book. How do you figure out what your culture is, right? So you figure out like, okay, what do I stand for? What do I believe in? What are my values? And then I picked out 3 A players on my team, and I'm like, they align with me. They align with me. They align with me. Come with me. Let's sit in a room for 4 hours and let's talk about this and let's figure out what we stand for, right? And we did that. And now we're on our fourth rendition of our values. And I think, and you're probably going to ask me what they are. And on the spot, um, uh, I have them right here and they're posted in the clinic. But yeah, it's just reiterating those every meeting that we have, all hands meetings, and giving people shout outs or kudos or culture um, culture kudos in our Slack channel, right? And just making those known, right?
Yeah, I think that the process you went through in the change management world, we'd call that accentuating the bright spots, right? But you find those things that are working, and you figure out, why are these working so well? Why are my A players able to work well here? What is it about the way that they behave, the values that they hold as individuals that we want to bring into our organizational culture? It's interesting you've done that 3 or 4 times, though, from a values standpoint. I always talk about values as being kind of those bumpers on the bowling alley that kind of keep us in line. Go get the job done, but do it within these values.
Right.
Um, when you go to the point of kind of even changing the verbiage on those values, what are you doing to kind of bring it into the organization as a whole? I mean, obviously you said you've got them posted, but what else
Mhm.
do you do to bring this into everyday work that your employees are doing?
So we do a monthly all hands meeting where everybody kind of gets together, and then we
Yep.
actually, we have those printed out for everybody, and we read them together, right? We read them out loud and we reiterate those, and then we spend some time talking about what they actually mean, and then calling each other out on who does the best job at doing this. And like, if you don't get called out, right, then you want to get called out next time, right?
Yep.
So you start to embrace and embody that, which is a cool thing to see.
And how many employees do you have now?
We have 26, and we
26.
call them teammates, not employees. Yeah,
And that works too, right? I mean, and there's, so tell me why. Why does that matter to you? Why is that a distinction for you?
because I don't want to be looked at as a boss, right? I want to be looked at as a head coach, right? And in a team mentality, you understand, especially like, pro sports, and let's go back before NIL and before free
Yeah.
agency, right?
Yeah.
When you have a cohesive team that all believes the same thing and all has a common goal, and you know what the scoreboard is, then you can achieve that outcome, right? And if somebody is not living up to their part, they in a team, you might have to remove a player and replace a player, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have that mentality of like, hey, we're all aligned and we all have a common goal. But if somebody has to leave the team, it's because they didn't have the same goal. That's not that they were a bad person. It's just their vision or their values might not have aligned with us. And I don't know if I
Gotcha.
answered your question or not.
No, it's an interesting distinction. I just wanted to throw you on the spot there and have you articulate for us why that matters for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I feel like employees are just like people that come in and clock out. But
Fair
teammates are
enough.
somebody that has your back, right?
Yeah.
And is not and what we want to do is we want to have a culture where if say in a physical therapy world we have physical therapy assistants, right? Well, I want physical therapy assistant A to be able to call out physical therapist assistant B for something that they see or give them kudos that they're doing right, because on the playing field a teammate might slap somebody on the butt and say, hey man, you got this, pick it up next time, make sure you make that block, our quarterback got sacked last time. So it's all in the alignment of trying to achieve a certain goal, right? So we help bring each other up. We might have to yell at somebody, grab them by the face mask and yell at them and get them back in the game. So I played sports. I like sports analogies. So I like the thought of everybody's on a team trying to achieve the championship.
That works. So let's back up just a second for the viewers and listeners that are out there. When we think about physical therapy, a lot of times we think about a white room and a small white room in a corner of a clinic or corner of a hospital or something like that. Behind you is an entire performance center. Talk to me
Yeah.
about your business model.
So this is an extension of the physical therapy business.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look right there on the screen, that's a glass window. So over on that side is the physical therapy side. So when
Okay.
people are injured or they have balance issues or they have surgery, they come over there, they get treatment. Well, once they're finished with getting their mobility back, their strength back, they may have higher level goals, right? And that's where this comes into play. But they kind of feed each other from a business model, because we have some athletes that come in here and they're used to coming to here for training, for performance, for acceleration, for running higher, running faster, jumping higher, getting better. But inevitably they're going to get injured, right? Well, guess what?
Yep.
They go there so they can come back here. So these two just kind of feed each other, which is the ultimate goal.
Well, I think it's a different way of looking at the PT as a practice because, from my perspective at least, past encounters with PT, a lot of times it's you have a certain number of visits to get yourself back to healthy, and then you're gone.
Right.
Right? You are kind of going that extra extension to say, hey, Russ, what is your goal beyond this?
Right.
What are you trying to achieve beyond this? And then you move it out into the performance center and you go from there. Why is that important?
Um, and we as practitioners, and this is one of our values, right? So we want to look beyond the pain and get to the real issue, right? So Russ, you come in to see me and you walk in, I'll be like, hey Russ, what's going on? You might say, man, my shoulder hurts. I'm like, okay, that's great, right? I'm sorry that your shoulder hurts, but why are you here? Right? You're not here because your shoulder hurts. You're here because you can't sleep at night, or you can't throw the ball with your son,
Mm,
or, you can't lift your grandbaby overhead and play, whatever that game is. Right.
yep.
So we want to get psychologically down deep into the root reason of why they're here. Cause that way we can align all of our goals and our treatments to an end game. Right. And then once you get past, pain is only the first. We have 4 phases of healing. Pain is the very first one. We get you out of pain. That's the first phase. We're not letting you go because you don't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
We're not letting you go until you reach your goal, right? But once you reach that goal, you might realize that there are bigger things that you can achieve. because you are just able to do some things that you didn't think you were going to be able to do again. And that's when we transition over here. It's like, what do you really want to be able to do in life? Right. Like, how old are you right now?
51.
51. I'm 50. Like, so I've had these three thoughts in the last week. How old do I want to be when I die? How do I want to live my last 10 years? And what type of grandfather do I want to be for my grandchildren? Right. And if I sat and pondered that for a little bit, I'm probably going to change a lot of things that I'm currently doing or not doing.
That's interesting. Those are interesting questions that I don't know. Now, did you read that somewhere, or did you just kind of come up with as you were sitting there thinking that those thoughts kind of popped in your head?
There's a couple of reasons. And this is gonna. So I was watching football the other
Yep.
night, and on Sunday between the 3:00 game and the 7:00 game, they wedge in 60 minutes, right?
Right.
So I never changed the channel, and they had the longevity doctor. I can never remember his name, but he was the guy that did Limitless with Chris Helmsworth that helped do the
Oh, yep.
biomarkers for him being susceptible to Alzheimer's 8 times more than the regular person, and what can he do to hold that off as long as possible. Very interesting series, but they did another series and he came back on, but then he had a special on 60 Minutes talking about longevity, right? And when he was talking about longevity, I mean, it was like he was talking directly to me, and it made me think, like, because he said the last 10 years of life, most of the time are not worth living, right? Because what you have no mobility, you might be in a home, nobody comes to visit you, your mental health starts to go away. I'm like, do I really want to be that person, right? Or do I
Yeah.
want to stay as active as I can and do all the things that I can because I love playing golf, right? I want to be able to play golf with my grandchild when I'm 90 and he's 10, right? So yeah, it makes me think a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's something about that half century mark that makes us think a little bit.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, then going back to what you said about the why it's important, it's kind of that proverbial, I don't buy a drill bit, I buy the hole in the wall. When you started this out, 25, 30 years ago, how many total years have been in business?
18. 18.
18. So when you started this out 18 years ago, what were you looking for then? Did it end with just PT, or did you have to, and did you evolve into this? I don't want the drill bit, I want the hole in the wall. When did that kind of hit you as being an important part of the journey that your patients go through?
Yeah, when I first started out, it was literally just like, I just need to put food on the table for my family because there's some history there, but my wife had just had to quit working. And then I quit my job about 3 weeks later to start this thing up. So it was more of, at first it was just like, you've got to grind and be able to pay the mortgage, right? And put
Yeah.
food on the table because we had 3 children at that point. I guess it morphed for me, probably 12 years in, that there was more, right? We are looking at a lot of different things. Like, I've got a lot of ideas. Like, my job in this business is the idea man, right? I'm the
Okay.
visionary. So I've got a lot of ideas of how I want it to look, and the people that we want to serve and how we want to serve them. And so luckily over on the other side, I have a great team that can take the some of those ideas and make them happen. Right.
Right.
So, I got a lot of kids calling me right now. So
Oh, are they?
yeah.
Do you need to take any of them?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. So, you mentioned the visionary. I mean, if you've read Traction, the EOS method, they talk about having a visionary and an integrator. Talk to me about that integrator role for you. You mentioned your team helps to make it happen, but do
Mhm.
you have a point person that you rely on that just does the executing side of the business when you come up with these ideas?
So they're still training, because I've been the
Okay.
execution guy too, but I'm very bad at it. So you mentioned the integrator and the visionary and traction. If you also read the Six Working Geniuses,
Hmm.
we're all capable of doing most things, right?
Sure.
But some things drive us and give us energy. Some things we can do for a short period of time, and we're okay with that. And if we have to
Yep.
stay there for a long period of time, we can if we're forced to. And there are certain tasks that just drain us and make us go home and just want to pull the sheets over our head and go, today sucked, right? Um,
Yep.
so I'm the visionary, the idea guy. If I have to make things happen, it drains me, right? So I had to find the polar opposite of me.
Yep.
Um, and his name is Troy. He's my operations officer for the we'll say the back of the house. We split physical therapy into the front of the house and the back of the house. Back of the house is all the
Okay.
physical therapists, the aides, the PTAs, the people that are direct patient care. In the front of the house are our patient care coordinators, authorization people, HR, and that's my office manager. So my
Okay.
office manager, Allie and Troy, they are my integrators for their respective sides, and they work together to make those ideas happen.
Very good. And how do you decide which ones to put in place and which ones not?
I don't. I barf all of the ideas out.
Yeah.
And they like to say, Jeremy just had another idea, baby. And they decide whether or not they want to feed the baby and nurture the baby and grow that baby, or if that baby just needs to be sent to the orphanage. That's what they tell
Okay.
me.
And you've learned to let go of any emotion related to those ideas, just in case it does go to the orphanage.
Exactly. Exactly. Because there's always more, there's never a lack of ideas, right?
Okay.
But
Very good.
they're more in tune with the day-to-day operations and can
Hmm.
see how that idea may slow or hinder what they're currently doing or may accelerate what they're currently doing.
Gotcha. So without giving out any secrets that might come back to bite you later, give us
Mhm.
an idea of what are some of those ideas they're working on right now.
Um, well, recently we've integrated some virtual assistants, right? We're looking at some AI things to streamline some processes. We're looking at some decreasing some software integrations because some software integrations are doing more that we already have, and we can
Hmm.
let go of some things. Um, like we just hired another physical therapist, and I didn't even know about it until a meeting on Monday, right? Um, so just the looking at the trends and the KPIs and the metrics, and just using those to make those decisions. So my idea was like making sure everything is graphed so we can visualize it.
Hmm.
So they brought that to life. Um, so it makes the data more meaningful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now
I
for the performance side, there's several other things, but I won't talk about any of those.
won't
But
talk
I've got
about those.
lots of ideas over here.
I bet you do. Well, there's all that open space that you could do all sorts of stuff with.
Yeah. Yep.
No, that's terrific. Um, all right. So you look across the street at competitor A.
Mhm.
Um, what do you see that they're doing that you want to catch up to, or what do you see are some of those things that both of you are worried about as you go forward as business?
Oh, I'd say that every physical therapist in private practice, if they take insurance, that is a common, like, I don't think I could interview a single physical therapist in private practice that was not worried about the state of the affairs of insurance,
Yep.
you know, because historically, relative to inflation, over the last 20 years, we have taken a 40% pay cut.
From what you're getting from insurance.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha.
So, I don't, where are you located, Russ?
I'm in Nevada.
All right. Who's the biggest legal, ambulance chaser guy out there?
Oh, it's some of the national ones. You know, you could
Morgan and
throw them
Morgan.
out there. Morgan and Morgan's one that you
Okay.
see everywhere. Go
So
ahead and use them.
yeah, we'll take Morgan and Morgan. Do you think Morgan and Morgan charges more or less than they did 10 years ago?
Yeah.
You know, how much does it cost to go get a combo meal at Chick-fil-A than it did 10 years ago? Right? Double, right? Um, so, we've gotten historic 3% paid decreases from Medicare over the
Mm.
last 10 years. That's an annual decrease. And then United Healthcare is literally paying us $40 less than our cost to produce a visit now. And there's nothing we can do about it, except for just not accept them.
Yeah.
So that's a fear, because in order to provide that care to a United Healthcare person, we're going to have to charge cash. So now this person can't utilize their insurance, or they have to go somewhere in network. And the in network could be the hospital. And I'm not saying they're substandard, but when you go to a physical therapist in private practice, you are the customer, right? We look at you as, we want to treat you as good as possible. We want to help you achieve everything that you can. And then we want you to write a glowing review going out and refer all of your friends and family members. Like, that's exactly what we want to do. I want you to walk out going, that was the best experience I've ever had. Right.
Yep.
I've worked at a hospital. I've worked at a physician-owned practice, and that was not the mentality. The mentality is, well, if Russ leaves 2 visits in, like, I'll have another referral come in, because Doc's next door, he's doing surgeries all day, every day. Right.
Yeah.
So Russ doesn't really matter. Like, I don't even know who Russ was. Like, there was a barcode on his thing,
Yep.
So it's just sad for the consumer.
Yeah, that is too bad. Well, and I think from a business standpoint, then, the only way to kind of get around that is to, one, differentiate us from substitutes by providing a different product or more value, or you're going to have to your point, put it at a cash point where people are incentivized to go the cash route instead of going insurance, which is multiple challenges to that. Obviously, some just don't have the cash. Others say, well, if I'm going to pay out the cash, I want it to go towards my out of pocket
Right.
on my insurance, because if not, I'm going to just keep paying cash, and then the insurance isn't going to cover anything else, and I'm out of pocket more. I think that this insurance conundrum is a big one, not just for PT, but for anybody in a service industry that's doing that. From a
100%.
number standpoint, you may have seen a more significant cut or less significant than others that are servicing, but in general, just everything I've seen about the health industry or health insurance industry is that it's hurting the providers quite a bit right now.
It is. And hurting the providers, becoming out of network, it just limits access. Right. So,
Yeah.
XYZ person no longer has access to an in-network provider without driving 2 hours. Right. So how is that helpful? And it's not. And I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. But I know who is making a ton of cash from it is insurance companies. So, but that's a soapbox that we don't have to go in. What are people doing? You asked me a question. What are people doing that I would like to emulate? There's some high level wellness testing I want to get into. That I think would help with the transition to a cash based product, and be more proactive than reactive in the healthcare. I think in the healthcare model, if we can fine tune that, and even if insurance companies would catch up to the idea of, like, hey, pay for 6 visits a year of physical therapy and help us be proactive in injury prevention,
Mm-hmm.
to save money in the long run, right? Then our volume could go up. Our visits would go down. They could pay us a little bit more to actually keep the population healthy, but I don't really know if that's what their end goal is. So
Yeah. That's been discussed on this
soapbox,
podcast
Russ.
before as well. Yeah, it's been discussed here as well. Is kind of what's the goal of that? Is it to get people healthy, or is it to get them out of our office, right? Which is 2 different things, quite often. So let's get back to the business side of this for you. Building a team. We started at the beginning of this saying you're a technician who had all this education in physical therapy. You came out, started your own thing. Talk to me about the people side of it a little bit. Talk to me, we talked about culture a little bit, but even just the practical part of, how do I hire somebody? How do I create a team? How do I do this beyond someone, or with someone beyond myself? What was that like for you, hiring that first and second and third employee and starting to rely on other individuals?
It was miserable. I'm just going to tell you, it was
Usually
miserable.
is.
Because when you start a business, if you were to read the E-Myth before you even started a business and like follow it to the T, then you probably wouldn't have these problems. But who knew about the E-Myth starting a business, right?
Yeah.
Because the number one thing is to go ahead and look at where you want to be, right, and make your org board based on that vision, and then write all the job descriptions for all the different things. And right now you're going to be wearing all the hats. And then you could just start giving all the hats away, right? Well, who does that? Nobody does that. All
Yeah.
the knowledge is right here. So when you hire that first person, you don't have anything written down, right? So you're training them based on memory. And a lot of it is muscle memory. And you leave
Yeah.
out 8 steps that you do automatically without even thinking about it. So then you start thinking, well, this person's horrible. They can't do anything. But if you really look at it, it's not the person, it's the process, right?
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is control. Because when you're the one that built this thing and it's succeeding and it's your baby, right? To turn over control of any aspect of it is painful. It's like cutting off an arm, right? But once you do it once, you get better at it. You know, it's like working a muscle out. And now I look forward to delegation because it empowers people and gives them autonomy to make decisions and to help the business grow, and utilizing their strengths is why I hire them in the first place. Right.
Yeah.
So,
So a lot of times when we hire somebody, we bring somebody in to do a certain amount of stuff, and that frees us up.
mhm.
Um, Sometimes we're good about utilizing that time effectively. Sometimes we're not. What did you free yourself up to do by those first couple hires?
Ooh, first couple of hires was just to build the business. First couple of hires, I hired somebody to answer the phones. And then I hired another physical therapist to see more patients, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
it freed me up to go out and do what I was good at when I was talking to doctors and marketing
Okay.
and bringing business in. Um, but then I got on this roller coaster of like, okay, well, if I'm marketing, then we're busy and I have to be in the clinic. But if I stop marketing and I see all the patients, then we start to die. So I had
Yeah.
to make another hire to take myself off the schedule so I could start to do the marketing externally and start to write those systems and processes down for our future growth.
Gotcha. How long was it that you were in it before you really felt like, okay, I can breathe now, right? I'm not constantly fighting for my own survival in this.
Yeah. Um, let's see, 8 years ago, 27, we'll say 2017.
So you were almost a decade in before you really felt that.
Yeah. I was, simply because, like, again, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was still
Mhm.
I was doing this roller coaster. I was reading all the books I could. And when in 2017, I um, met a group of guys that were also physical therapists that were further ahead than me. And we started a mastermind, right?
Yeah.
So, I was really good at certain things. They were all good at other certain things. So we just kind of started helping each other to fill our gaps, right? So I had some good marketing ideas. I was really good at culture, and I was really good with people. We had people that were really good at KPIs and tracking and spreadsheets and just different aspects of the business. So it wasn't until we all got together and actually started to learn from other people that were where I wanted to be that the shift happened.
I love that. And that's the perfect use of a mastermind. Right? It's if you were to draw a Venn diagram and see who brings what to the table. There's some things that you all have in common, but there's other things that everybody can feed off of as a group. And so that's the perfect use of it. I love that.
Yep, it was, and I still talk to those guys every week. So I mean, we just spent a week in Hot Springs, Arkansas, playing golf and breaking down Q4 and the start
Yep.
of Q1. So yeah,
Perfect. Yeah, this is the time of year you should be setting those for anybody listening. Time of year to set those 2026 goals.
yes,
Always do it in November of the year before. Right. Give
yep,
yourself 5, 6 weeks to kind of tie up loose ends, be able to hit the ground running come January 1st. Because if you wait till after January to start to put your goals in place, half of Q1's gone before you have them ready.
Yeah, we did our
So
annual planning meeting in the last week in October. So,
that's awesome.
yep. So we laid out, we reinforced our Q4 OKRs and talked about our 2026 goals and laid out. By the end of next week, we will have our OKRs, objectives and key results for you guys that don't know what OKR is, for the first quarter, with our weekly action items. So
Nice.
yeah.
I like it. So these are all OKRs, KPIs, some of this kind of stuff. You're getting into some pretty technical business stuff.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what were the key things along the way that helped you pick up that business knowledge, other than just trial and error. What were the key, individuals, classes, books, things that you tried along the way that helped you get to where you are from a business standpoint?
Um, yeah, lots of books. But mainly, a gentleman by the name of Arlen Alburo, who is,
Okay.
we call him the sensei. He's a physical therapist in private practice in Valparaiso, Indiana. He's got 7 locations. Very, very brilliant individual. He basically said, "Hey, everybody," because full transparency, these guys that I did a mastermind with, we also own a billing company, right?
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why I talk to him every week and spend a lot of time with him. But he's like, "Hey, this is a system that we're going to adopt for the billing company. It's called OKRs. I need you to read this book," right? And so we read this book, and this is like how we start. And he's like, "Hey, this is how I implemented it into my own practice. This is the spreadsheet that I used in order to track the weekly action items." So I'm like, "Okay, if it's working for Sensei, it's going to work for me," right?
Yeah.
Because now I have the right team in order to hold people accountable. So, yeah. And it
Okay.
doesn't matter what system you use. You could use the traction method. You could use the 4 disciplines of execution. It really doesn't matter what you use, but you have to be consistent with it, and you have to hold people accountable with it, and you have to talk about it on a regular basis. You need to post your scoreboard, so that people see what the score is, because like you wouldn't be interested in a football game if you walked in and the scoreboard was broken and nobody knew
Right.
what the score was. Now you're just watching people play, right?
Yeah.
But if you walk in and it's 20-21 with 3 minutes left, you're invested immediately, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like it. I like it. So talk to me, or talk to yourself, really. Let's go back 18 years to the
Uh-huh.
beginning of this. What are those top 2 or 3 lessons that you've picked up along the way that you wish you'd have known from the start?
Um, One, and you'll like this one. One, hire a coach, right?
Yes. Amen.
Um, hire a coach, because if you're trying to go from point A to point B, right, and you have no idea where to start, a coach can get you there 10 years faster, right?
Yep.
Because you don't see your own blind spots, right? And you don't know what you don't know, and they can set a path for you and hold you accountable to hitting certain milestones. That's step one. I wish I would have, because I literally went to a coaching, continuing ed, and when they tried to, I went there for new patients, but when they tried to
Sure.
sell me executive coaching, I was not in the mindset to buy that. Had I invested in myself back then, I would be a lot further ahead than I am now.
Gotcha.
2 is, um, allow hire for your weaknesses. Um, don't be too prideful to say you don't suck at something, right? And as soon as you determine what you suck at, you hire somebody that is awesome at that thing, and you work where you do the best, right? And allow them to fail and allow them to succeed, debrief and learn, right? Um, yeah, those are the main 2. Because you're going to get burned. You're going to trust people. They're going to burn you, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to burn you.
Yeah.
It
No, and I think
happens.
those are obviously, and for anybody listening and watching, I did not plant Jeremy on that question. I did not tell him to encourage coaching, but I love the fact that you threw that out there. And obviously,
It's
I agree.
Yeah,
It, it,
100%.
it's just one of those things that I believe everybody should have a coach. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur. I don't care if you're I said myself, I wish I'd have had one. Even as in the many roles I had, just somebody to talk to along the way. Because we all think, we're all driving at night with the headlights on. We all think we know what's out there. We don't. We just don't.
Well, I mean, I mean, if we want to go back to athletics, right?
Yeah.
Um, Michael Jordan had Phil Jackson as his coach, right? But he also had strength coaches, nutrition coaches. He had recovery coaches. He had mental coaches. He probably didn't have a shooting coach, but I mean, he might have. Um, but the highest performing individuals in the world probably pay the most for coaching,
Hmm.
and it just is what it is. So in the business world, we're no different, right? Entrepreneurs, we don't know it all. We need people to again see our blind spots and call us out on things and move us in the right direction.
Yeah. To your point, I think there is a little bit of a prideful piece where we have to admit that we don't know it all.
Mhm.
And I do want to draw the distinction. I think what you said about Arlen, I think having a mentor that is in your industry, that has contacts, has done the things that you want to do, has a business that is what you want to build. I think that a mentor from that capacity is terrific. But that's kind of that goal. That's kind of that shooter thing that it's picking his brain once a week or every couple of weeks or something
Mhm.
like that. Just give me an idea what you're thinking. He's not going to sit beside you while you're going through this to talk about specific employees, to talk about specific, business models, to bounce ideas off of, to get you off the ledge when you're ready to jump. That's what a coach is for. And I
Right.
love that. I think everybody should have a coach and a mentor. So I know we got to wrap up, Jeremy. Talk to me about anything that I haven't mentioned or haven't brought up that you want to throw out there to the audience. Anything coming up for you in the next couple months? Give us an idea of anything that I missed.
Yeah. So two things. For as far as the performance center here in Collierville, if anybody is in the local area, we should have a Black Friday deal shooting up on our Instagram at some point for
Okay.
some adult classes that we're starting out. We're currently training the national champ Collierville High School track team. Some high level things that are going on. These most of these girls are going to be going D1, so they chose this place behind me to be their training facility. But I'll leave you with this. The number one question that I get asked as a physical therapist in private practice is, do I need to see my doctor before I come see you? And the answer is overwhelmingly zero, no. Right? If you have an ache, pain, strain, or just having a hard time doing something in your functional everyday life, that's where we start. And if it's not something that we think we can handle, we have a great referral network to get you to the right place as quickly as possible.
I like that. Well, I thank you for throwing that out, and congratulations on the track team. That sounds spectacular that they're training now with you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's fun. It's
Well,
fun.
Jeremy, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you doing so.
All right, Russ, I appreciate you having me.
So that's a wrap for this episode of Legacy Unscripted. If today's conversation sparks something in you, don't just let it sit. Take action today to build your future. Make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this with someone who may need to hear it. And if you've got a story to share or you just want to connect, you know where to find me. Until next time, keep it real, keep it bold, and keep living your legacy.